Now, first of all, we're going to hear something from Les Penning, our Chief Operating Officer and Deputy General Manager. Les?
Thank you all. Can you hear me okay? Let me see if, okay, we're back on now? Okay, thank you. All right, I want to thank you all again for coming out for the 70th annual cooperative meeting. And I was thinking about that on the way over, and 70 years ago, the amount of involvement and engagement that it took for the folks that started up the cooperative, pretty compelling. And what it did to change the quality of life for rural America, it's stunning of the difference of what life looked like. And it made me think about that because the foundation, in its mission statement, that's what's carried forward. The purpose of the foundation in its mission has to improve the quality of life for Northeast Wyoming. And with that, we have lots of spaces that we're trying to work in for the foundation and lots of needs that still exist. Quality of life for our children, for our elderly, for the disabled, and for those that are just less fortunate. With that, I wanted to talk about six people actually, that are volunteering their time and effort to improving the quality of life for the foundation, which is our foundation directors. John Fulchini is our board president out of Campbell County. Zita Anderson is the vice president out of Crook County. Julie Swanda, secretary treasurer out of Crook County. Susan Berry, Johnson County. Billy Little is the director in Sheridan County, and Kathleen Tavigi in Weston County. We have 4 still at-large positions that are open on the foundation board. Those positions are appointed by the Powder River Energy Board of Directors. With that, we also always talk about where does the money come from that the foundation uses for charitable causes. Operation Roundup is one source of funds that is driven from that. Unclaimed capital credits. Each year the board looks at the unclaimed capital credit pool, and they determine a certain amount that would go towards charitable causes. The rest stays in that account. Member donations of capital credits. A few years ago, one of the employees talked about perhaps people that are receiving their capital credit check back may want to donate that back to the foundation for charitable causes. And so we get a fair amount on that front. The fundraising events, so we still do private fundraising events, and then we have members that have donated actual dollars for a scholarship, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then just personal donations that come into the foundation. I wanted to share with you, looks like an eye chart, but there's last year in 2014, the foundation board and the staff come together to relook at the strategy of where they wanted the foundation to go. And this is what we call a strategy map. And the parts, just a couple pieces I wanted to point out. Right up here on the top is the mission. When we talked about changing the quality of life and improving it, that's built into our mission statement. But I wanted to point out this part here, which you can't read. What it basically says, the foundation board is targeting $250,000 by the year 2018 that they would like to be giving into Northeast Wyoming. So around $50,000 per county. Okay, we're about 30% there at this point of what we're doing. We have a long ways to go, but we have the rest of this map is really driven for objectives and initiatives on how we're going to get to that goal. And really what I wanted to speak to, sorry for that, what I wanted to speak to on that is right up here, these are kind of the 4 themes that fall out of all the things that we think we need to do. And they're kind of in an order of priority: involvement, income, identity, and impact. And really our focus right now is involvement. Involvement from the membership, from employees, from our boards. And once you can get involvement from the people around. That's really how, from the cooperative side, that's how the cooperative started, by just great involvement. And it's how we're going to be successful with the foundation, is when people in the communities and rise up, and we see that all over. We have great volunteers in all of our small communities, but involvement is the key. And I wanted to give a couple great examples of some involvement just from our employee side. Recently we had some just wonderful examples. Before the foundation was even put into place, employees have been volunteering their time, doing lots of great things for charitable needs in our system. And just recently, the Sturgis Bike Rally that impacts the whole area every year, well, we're just coming off of that, and the employees had come together as they've done in years past, and they do a food booth in Sundance when a lot of the motorcycles are in town on that Wednesday. Well, they pulled together and they had a food booth that they put together, and it was for the Crook County Senior Services. They always pick a charity that the money will go to, and that was kind of driven by Yvonne Moberg, was the coordinator of that group. I'm not sure if the team is in the room, but I wanted to list, there's Yvonne in the back. Yvonne, thank you so much for your effort on coordinating that, because it's tough wrangling all the troops together. Not because they're not willing, it's just everybody's got a lot going on. So, but I just wanted to list some of the folks involved on that. Crystal LeBlanc, Alyssa Himley, Tim Velder, Lyle Durfee, Don Engstrom, Jennifer Castelli, Hazel Smith, Danae Crowder, Betty Finn, Lyle Bryce, Darla Mowat, Deb Mallow, and Rod Mallow. And I know there's other people on the peripheral helping. And then, of course, when we have people volunteering their time, there's folks back in the office supporting on the other end. So it takes a whole team to make it all work. We also had spouses and kids helping out. So just a great effort. They raised, in just those few hours of working that food booth, $3,000 that will go to the Crook County Senior Services. And the foundation matched dollar for dollar for that. So that turned into a $6,000 gift for the Crook County Senior Services. So wonderful job on that. Another example that I wanted to highlight, a team of employees and an individual. Mike Palmerain. Is Mike Palmerain in the room? He might be outside. Mike is our VP of Operations. He had a vision around our small communities and our line crews, and some of the difficulty we have sometimes with keeping our kids that come up through the ranks out of high school and they leave the area. We have some great jobs, and in our line areas, those are wonderful jobs, but oftentimes we struggle keeping people placed in some of our small communities. And Mike had an idea about how to help with that, with providing scholarships and knowledge to these kids as they come up through school, and what that would mean if we could provide a scholarship, educate them in the trade, and then maybe keep them local, keep them working in our local communities, and what that would mean to raise a family and keep good paying jobs here in Northeast Wyoming. And the line crews were all in on that. They very much supported it, and they come together to create a committee that was really driven by our line guys that we call the Apprentice Line Scholarship Fund. And there's a committee that was put together. That committee is made up of Mike Bingham, who's the chair, Rick Gill, Travis Geis, Brandon Vale, Duffy Burish, Randy Himley, T.C. Malloy, Missy Biegler, and supporting cast folks helping out with that, Tim Velder, Kristen Kelly, Cynthia Woolen. All were on the committee that helped pull that together. And over this last year, that group has gone around the communities, and I know there's people in here that gave dollars to help support that fund. The foundation supports the scholarship fund. They manage it for the group. But they've raised so far over $30,000 to support that scholarship fund, and they'll be launching a scholarship probably next year for the first round of kids that we hope to have placement for. So wonderful job from the team on that. So with that, we can certainly see where involvement starts getting the ball rolling on how we engage. That was all on the employee side, and certainly involvement from our community, because there was a lot of small businesses and folks that have gave money that help see that vision on what it means to keep jobs in our local communities and what it can help do. But ultimately, on how this works, if you can have great involvement, it will drive the income into the foundation that helps the identity ultimately of what the foundation is, so people know where to go to fill those needs. And then ultimately what we're looking for is impact. And impact is ultimately changing the quality of life, which is kind of where we kind of kicked over. This was in the RIN last month in July. It's a list, and there's actually more to this list. These are just some of the grant recipients over this last year, and it's also in the annual report, if anybody picked up the annual report. So just highlight some of the areas of need across our 5 counties and areas that the foundation has been giving. Last but not least, we talked a little bit on the scholarship piece. The foundation is now managing all of the PRECorp scholarship. That includes 13 member scholarships up to that, 1 for each high school across the 5 counties. And then we've had individuals that have donated money for a scholarship. We have the Swanda Ag Scholarship. We have the Barb Geist Memorial Scholarship, which has just been brought forward. And then what I was just speaking to, the Apprentice Lineman Scholarship. So this is a great area that the foundation is moving more and more into, is really the educational component and ensuring that we're supporting kids coming out of here and trying to keep them local and giving them great opportunities for growth. So with that, I would like to introduce John Fluchini, who is our board president. John, if you could come up, Kathleen Tavigi, and Norma Shelton with the Weston County Health Services. We have the board just recently had donated $10,000 to the Weston County Health Services for their project, and would like to give them a check for that today, if that works. So we're kind of tight quarters, so let's come right up over here. Well, we'll figure it out here.
I'll go to the game.
All right. I'm going to slip right over here if you guys are right here, and Norma, you an okay spot, so. All right. Norma, do you have a couple words you'd like to give? You're sure welcome right here at the mic.
As a member of the Weston County Health Services Foundation Board, I wanted to say thank you to Powder River Energy and Powder River Energy Foundation for being strong community partners.
Thank you.
And at any time when Weston County Health Services has asked for their support, they have always given it to us, and we thank you for that. It's a great pleasure to know that you place high value on the services provided to the patients, the residents, and the employees at Newcastle. And we thank you again.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you so much. We can just walk down here, Norma, for you.
Excuse me.
Through these tight quarters. I'm going to let John kind of come up to the mic here and
I'll try not to do a Donald Trump on you here. One of the things I did want to say is it's an honor for me to be on the board of directors for the foundation, and I want to give some kudos out for Betty Finn, for one, because she kind of helps anchor the foundation in keeping notes and getting information to us all on the board. And then also for Les Penning, who's our executive director of the foundation. And without Les, I guess I would be the only guy with spaghetti and meatballs around that group. So I'm glad to have Les there for that. So I've got a question for you all. we talk with a lot of assumption here about the foundation, but by a show of raise of hands, who knew about the PRECorp Foundation? Can I just see a raise of hands? Okay, so that's probably about half or so, which means the other half of you really doesn't know or didn't know about the foundation. So I hope this is a little bit of a primer about what the foundation is. And Les was mentioning the ways we raise funds. How many of you knew about the Operation Roundup? About the same, it looks like. So there is a number of ways that our foundation receives funding. Les showed you that slide a few minutes ago. I'd like to add just a little bit to that, because there's actually more ways than what was presented there. For one thing, the foundation is a 501c3 organization. That means that you can give personal donations and get a write-off for that. It's also, we receive donations from businesses as well, so outright donations from individuals as well as businesses. Estate planning, through people designating the foundation in their will. Real estate, property, the scholarships were mentioned. We have families that have come forward with funds to have a scholarship in the name of their family member. Securities, but back to Operation Roundup, it's really the simplest way for members to participate in the foundation. And the way it works is basically you are agreeing to round up your bill on a monthly basis to the nearest dollar. So at most, it's going to cost you 99 cents a month. At most, it's going to cost you $11.88 a year. There are right now a little over 1,000 members that are participating in Operation Roundup, generating about $10,000 to $12,000, and there is the possibility, or ideally, we actually have the ability to multiply that times 10. There's 11,000 members in this cooperative. There's 28,000 meters. And there's really a grand opportunity, and very simply and relatively painlessly, to participate in this program to make a lot of difference. There was a pretty big list of organizations that had benefited in the last year and going back to the beginning of the foundation. We are trying to grow the foundation. We'd like to be giving, like what Les said, our goal is to be giving $50,000 a year back to each county. So we're asking for your help in helping us attain that goal. And it's simple. It's an opt-in program. There's, at the registration table, you can go see those folks and they'll help you out to get signed up for it. There's several ways to do it. Just ask a PRECorp staff or one of us, and we'll help you out. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for those that are participating in Operation Roundup and supporting the foundation. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you. All right. The closing piece on this is, where is the need? We did an employee survey recently, trying to better understand with our employees across the system of what they've seen for needs in their local communities. But we're very interested. We know you are all engaged members because you're here today. And so we're very interested in the bag that you received when you come in. There was a little survey inside that. If you see specific needs, or you think there's areas that we can be reaching into to help support, please fill out that survey, and the folks there's a box in the main area that you can drop that into on the way out, or just hand it to one of us or one of the staff. I'll be happy to look at that. We're very interested in where you see the needs. Last piece I wanted to extend additionally, John, thank you for bringing up Betty Finn's support. I wanted to add to that piece. Betty not only, she works for Powder River Energy. In her role as an executive assistant, she directly supports all the work with the foundation board and the work that we do on that side. But she comes from doing a tremendous amount of charitable work. Her and her husband Mike, wonderful people, and they do lots of work on their own time and are known for doing tremendous work with charities outside of what the foundation was doing. So she's well versed in that space. She's a joy to work with and has done a tremendous amount. So if I could get one more hand for Betty's effort, I appreciate it. So thank you, Betty.